Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Coffee and Headphones. My name is Caleb,
My name is Trevor.
and this is a show where we talk about things that brothers would talk about. And today, we're shifting focus to the NBA because the season is less than a month away, and we're going to give you 7 teams that are huge question marks going into the 2022-2023 season. Yeah. So, Trevor, how you want to do this?
I guess we'll just talk open discussion. I don't think we need to take turns. I think that would be more boring than anything.
Yeah,
But
agreed.
I think we should probably start with the team on your beanie
Okay.
and go from there. The Chicago Bulls, baby.
We should start with Lonzo Ball then. It was just
Okay.
announced a few days ago that Lonzo is having another surgery on his knee. He'll be reevaluated in 4 to 6 weeks, which he was supposed to be in January. And that man has not played since then. So honestly, bro, I am heavily, heavily concerned. Lonzo, whenever he was on the floor, was so impactful for us, especially defensively. But he was also one of
Yeah.
the few players that could hit a three. He hit 7 threes in multiple games. We were the 1 seed in the East when Lonzo was healthy, remember? Then he
Yes,
got
I
he
do.
got hurt. Of course, Caruso also got hurt. Zach LaVine missed some time, but really Lonzo getting injured hurt us tremendously. He was our point of attack defense up front. And, we don't have a very good defensive front court with Vucevic and DeRozan, and then whoever's playing the four. Patrick Williams is back this year, so hopefully it will give us a boost. But then we went out and we signed Andre Drummond, who was freaking like a toaster in the lane, bro. That man can't stop anyone. We signed Goran Dragic, who's 36 years old. And it was really concerning that those were the two big free agent players that we got, considering just how Acme was talking about how we needed to go and address rim defense. We needed to get more shooting. And I mean, Dragic can shoot, but last year he was terrible for the Nets and he didn't even want to play in Toronto. If we can get bubble Dragic, then that'll be good. He's going to have to play a lot with Lonzo missing at least the beginning of the season. So I'm concerned. It's a reason that they're a huge question mark because in a perfect world, when everyone's healthy, they're contenders. I know not a lot of people
Yeah.
believe that, but I legitimately do. We were 25-11 at one point last season. Then we fell
Yeah,
off
and
bad.
finished at what, 46 and 36 or something like
Yeah, it
that.
sounds right. Yeah, we were the
Yeah.
5, 6 seed, and we
Yeah.
we took one game off of the Bucks, which was good. At least we got a little bit of run in the postseason because outside of Vooch and DeMar, not many of our guys have played in the playoffs. So that was good, but Lonzo still never played in the playoffs. So that's a big concern. Caruso, of course, has a championship pedigree. He brings a lot to the table, but outside of him, bro, we have Javante, who brings good energy. Other than that, bro, we don't have too much.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Caruso is a great fit for the Bulls.
Oh
I
yeah,
do think championship pedigree is
it's real.
pushing it a little bit,
What do
though.
you
To be
mean?
fair,
What do you mean?
well, he's won a championship,
He was a
right?
starting point guard on a championship team.
Okay, but who else was on that team?
Dwight Howard, Rajon
Okay,
Rondo.
no,
Uh,
come on, Caleb.
who are you thinking of?
You know that guy named LeBron James.
LeBron James was on the team. This is true, but LeBron was getting locked up by Jimmy buckets.
He was, but LeBron James is really what pushed that team towards a championship
Yes, of
and
course.
has that championship pedigree. That's what I would call championship pedigree. Steph Curry, LeBron, people like that who have been there multiple times and know exactly how to do it and what it takes to do it. Caruso was there. Obviously, he was part of that team. And in how many games is it in a season? 82.
82.
82 game season. Obviously, you got to do something right in order to make it to the playoffs, let alone win a championship. So I think Caruso fits well. Obviously, Lonzo Ball sucks that he's out this year. And it looks like it is going to be for the year. I mean, obviously, we haven't gotten a
You
lot
think
of updates.
so?
At least until late. into the season.
Mhm.
So it's going to be I don't know. I mean, the fact that we're seeing not a lot of updates and nothing really concrete
Yeah.
is not a good sign. Same thing happened with Jamal Murray,
Yeah.
as he was supposed to be coming back, and we'll get to that in a second. I'm
Yeah.
so excited. But I mean, the highlight of the Bulls last year, at least for me, was DeRozan.
Of course. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure probably everybody agrees. DeRozan's still there. DeRozan's still gonna do his thing. He can't do it alone.
Right.
Um, I think Vooch, obviously, he was an all-star when he was in Orlando, correct?
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know if he's the perfect starting fit for the Bulls.
Right.
And I think that really showed throughout the year last year when you had Caruso, Lonzo, and DeRozan on the floor, like playing. That team was freaking amazing.
Don't forget Zach.
And oh, excuse me, and Zach LaVine, my
Yeah.
bad, of course. And you still have Zach LaVine, which is cool.
And he's healthy this year.
And he's
Hopefully, he
healthy.
had a surgery April, May.
And he
So
should stay healthy. He's not Anthony Davis, so it should be okay.
yeah.
And I think it really depends on how the new players mesh with the team. Now, you did go out and get two relatively older guys, especially Jarvis.
Yeah,
I
bro.
think Andre Drummond is 34.
That's what I was gonna ask. You think he's 34? You want to know how old he actually is?
How old is he?
28.
Okay, so he plays like
Doesn't he?
he's 34.
It feels like he's
It feels like
40,
he's been
bro.
around for forever. Yeah. But I think he could be a good addition. Obviously, he's not going to be the savior, right?
Right.
Like that's just not him. But I think if he plays up to his full potential, he'll be a really good addition for this team. At 6'10", obviously it brings a bit of size for the Bulls. So
Yeah, which we lacked severely last year.
yes, and you could see it depending on which team you guys are playing.
Yeah.
Although you won't have Lonzo, that is going to affect your defense more than anything, I think.
Yes.
But I think if we're talking about Vooch versus Drummond, Drummond is better at defense than Vooch.
Yeah.
Hands
A little
down.
bit. A little bit.
Well, I mean, neither of them are good at
No,
defense
they
at
aren't.
all.
But Vooch's defense is a little bit better than it used to be. That doesn't mean he doesn't do stupid things in every single game. And he sometimes forgets that he's 7 feet tall and he can put his arms up. Other than that, he's improved a little bit just being in the right place in the paint sometimes. But yeah, he's still a defensive liability for sure.
Where's Derek Jones Jr. this
He's
year?
back. He's back. So I'm
That's what I
excited
thought.
about that. I was very happy to see he re-signed. He was great as a small ball 5 for us last year. He also had injuries with his hamstring and his hand. He played through the hand injuries and he played well. I hope Billy Donovan gives him a little bit more burn this year. But listen, if things go well, our rookie Dalen Terry, I believe Dalen Terry,
Yes.
he showed really good signs in summer league before his injury. I'm not completely sure when he's supposed to be back, if he's going to start the season or not, but he showed good
And do
signs.
you
He can
think
play
he'll
1 through
play?
3.
That's what I was about to say. Do you
Yeah.
think he'll play like a small forward position for you guys or shooting guard? Or does it just depend on who's on the floor?
I think that's it. I think it depends on what we need because Billy was open to switching things up last year. DeRozan ran the 4 sometimes, which was not good for us defensively, but when we needed a bucket, it really helped out. Javonte is 6'4" and he plays 4. He played 5 for a few minutes last year too. So we'll see what happens. I think if
Devontae Green.
Javonte Green, yeah.
Yeah.
If Io takes a big step like last year, he really, really impressed me. Obviously, you don't expect much from a second round pick, but his rookie year was great. If he takes another step defensively and with just being a floor general, I think that could be huge in Lonzo's absence. So things could go well for this team, but they could go bad too.
Yeah. I mean, and I guess that's why we have them on this list, right?
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
all right. What do you
Prediction.
foresee? Yeah. What do you foresee?
It's funny because like literally the swing is so big. I could see a world where Zach LaVine carries this team, averages 29 like he did a couple years ago, and we finish the top 3 seed. He could be in MVP contention because, like I said, he's healthy. Last year he wasn't, and he still averaged about 25 points a game. That's crazy. People don't give him
Yeah.
the respect he deserves. He's right up there with Devin Booker. But I could also see us being a playing team. I think ultimately I'm gonna go, just because the East has gotten a bit stronger, I'm gonna go with us being right at the bottom of the playoffs. Not playing, but I think like the 6th seed, probably finish with a similar record. It'll be a bit more of a grind this year, but I think continuity will be big. And I think we have that on our side because, as we mentioned, the roster didn't change too much. And
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. We still have a couple of trade pieces in Kobe White and Tony Bradley, if anyone wants them.
And I'd say, like, even though Dragic, like, he was only with the Nets, was he a preseason trade last year, or was he a mid-season?
Yeah, he was traded from Toronto to San Antonio, I think, and bought out. They picked him up in like February, March in Brooklyn.
Okay. Yeah, and like, even though you didn't see him like go off like bubble Dragic did, I would say he meshed with that team as well as he could when you have Kyrie and Kevin Durant and all those people on that team. So it should be interesting to see. And honestly, I think that the Bulls will finish 5 or 6. I think that we may get more out of Andre Drummond than we think.
Hope so.
And I think that if Vooch is playing how All-Star Vooch played and actually takes control of certain situations, because I think here's the thing. You have DeRozan, which is an all-star like for years. This man is a wonderful player, very poised, very experienced. And then you have Vooch, which is also a great player, but it was DeRozan's team last year, in my opinion, and I think it will be again. But I think if you can have Vooch take over sometimes and be not a floor general, but go get a bucket, it'll be a lot different.
So he can pass too for a big man. Just speaking of floor general.
He's not like some other guys.
He's not Jokic, maybe, but he had a couple games with 7, 8 assists last year. But I think, to your point, I don't see it being DeRozan's team again this year. I really do think Zach can take a huge leap and be that guy. It was great to see him defer to DeRozan last year because he's been the man since he's been in Chicago, and he had never been on a winning team before that. So I think it was great for him to see like having good teammates around him can be very beneficial, and he can take a step back. But I think this year, with Lonzo being down, we'll need his shooting. DeRozan's not a big 3-point shooter. I think Zach will almost have to take the leap for us to be in contention.
And this is a team over the past 5 or 6 years that has transformed tremendously.
Yeah.
And we have almost a completely new team.
Exactly.
Than
when Jim Boylan was running things.
Yes, we got different coaches, I believe, different upper management as well.
Yeah.
Which was a
from the
necessity for Chicago. Yeah, you're welcome. It was a necessity for Chicago for a long time.
Garpax was terrible. Now we still have the same owner or governor, or whatever they call it now, and Reinsdorf, who's super cheap and is the reason we only got Dragic and Drummond, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And it doesn't look like the Bulls are making a play for it this year, right? Like it's not. I feel like it's still a building year.
Yeah.
And you're putting pieces together to get you along.
So I agree to an extent, but that comes with the question of what's the long-term plan for DeMar and Vooch, because they're well into their 30s now. If we're not contending for a championship right now, what does that mean for them?
I think you'll get a couple. How much is left on DeRozan?
I think this is Vooch's last year, and then next year's DeRozan's last year.
And I think after that, depending on where the team is, I mean, obviously a lot can happen in 2 years, especially in basketball. But you may get a veteran max out of DeMar, is what I'm thinking. So
we could. I mean, he's older, bro. He's 30.
But Zach LaVine will be older at that time too.
Yeah, Zach's close to 30 now.
And he will probably be looking for a bigger bag as well.
Well, he just got a huge bag this summer, right?
He
So,
did, yeah. So what you had to do,
oh
honestly.
yeah, I'm glad we got him. He's got
I
the
think
biggest contract in Chicago Bulls history.
wow,
Yeah, because we didn't want to pay Jimmy, right? So
he didn't pay D Rose because he got hurt, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, cool. I think that covers the Bulls, man. Who's next?
let's go to your boys now,
Okay,
Denver.
my Nuggets, baby. I say it every year, and every year I'm so close, but there's just things that happen. I do think that if everybody is healthy, we'll probably be at least close to championship contention. Obviously, we have the MVP, we have the back-to-back MVP, Nikola Jokic, who, in my opinion, is by far the best big. Well, there's two people. I mean, Giannis is absolutely amazing as well, but as like Jokic held it down the past last year, especially. He carried that entire team on his back. We still finished decent for what we had. We have so many new people, so many young guys. Bones Highland stepped up. I mean, come on, man. I think we got rid of Compazzo, is
I think so. Yeah,
but now we have KCP,
yeah.
right?
You also got
So
rid of Austin Rivers and Monte Morris.
thank God to get rid of Austin Rivers. I will miss Monte Morris.
Yeah,
However, he is very small for the league. But that man is, if you see him play in person, if you ever have the pleasure, Monte Morris really is
yes,
that
we
guy.
have. You have a
He,
lot. I did
I
once.
have, yeah. Yeah, I remember going to those games and watching Jokic is just something different. Watching Jamal, obviously, I had the pleasure of watching like Jeremiah Grant and all those people.
Yeah,
Monte Morris was always one of the crowd favorites and one of my favorites because that guy just plays like he's in AAU trying to get a scholarship,
yeah.
like,
I was
and
very surprised to see that he's already 30.
yeah, he is. Well, he's been with the Nuggets for a
A long
long time.
time. Yeah.
A long time, and he was sort of a staple for us. I think it was the right timing to move away from him. Um, I don't know if I've felt that way with certain people before, but let's talk about who we have now. We have KCP,
Mhm.
we have Kankar, I believe. Whoop de doo. We have who do we get? Who am I trying to think of? Big guy. I'm losing it right now. DeAndre Jordan.
Oh,
That's
good
what
for
I'm trying to
you.
think of.
Good for you.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, we have some of those older guys, but here's what I think is going to be the biggest difference and why we can make a push. Obviously, we're in the Western Conference, right? We have the Lakers, we have the Warriors, we have the Clippers who look deadly this year.
Yeah.
But we have Jamal back, which I'm so excited for. I don't know if anybody remembers Bubble Jamal Murray, but that man was on a tear, 50-point games, freaking ridiculous. And I think him and Jokic just mesh so well together. And it's hard to have two people of that caliber that are that good, that mesh really well together, let alone a point guard and then a center that likes to run like a point guard. So,
Mhm.
and then we also have your favorite guy, MPJ, back.
PJ. Yeah, here's my so obviously there's a lot of concerns with Jamal and MPJ, and that's why this team's on the list.
Staying healthy.
Yeah. But also and like best case scenario before Jamal went down, he always started the season so slow. So he's never averaged, like I believe
Yeah.
he's never averaged 20, right? And he's had big games in the playoffs. Obviously, he's a playoff performer. But Jokic, we saw last year, Jokic got so fatigued. Y'all got swept in the first round, right?
I don't want to talk about it.
Of course you played the Warriors. So
Yes.
you have
And went
that.
on to win. So,
Went on to win the championship. Yeah. But you didn't even take one game like the Bulls did. And I
but
think,
better teams have been swept. Okay.
yeah,
You want me to
that's
name
valid.
one?
No, I'm good.
I'll name one right now. The New Jersey Nets, baby.
Okay.
got swept in the finals
Yeah.
by the
The
Lakers.
LeBron Cavs did the last Warriors championship before this
Yeah.
one. But
But
I
anyway,
think Jokic needs help throughout the season. I don't think he's going to be in MVP contention to the same extent. Some of that's because of voters fatigue, but also I think his numbers are going to take a dip because they need to for him to sustain his dominance in the playoffs. We saw him get really tired in the playoffs. He's in good shape. Like people are never going to give Jokic credit for being in good shape, but for how he plays and
correct.
who he is, he's in good shape. We need to see
Yes.
MPJ and Jamal Murray in good shape because there's a very real chance they come back out of shape, being Jamal being gone for a year and a half and MPJ for about a year. Is MPJ cleared to start the season?
I think so. I'm not 100%
Good.
sure.
Now, even if they do come back, your defense isn't what it was before because, like you said, you've lost Jeremy Grant in the last couple of years. You lost Paul Millsap. He's
Torrey
obviously older
Craig.
now. You lost
Torrey Craig was good at
Torrey Craig
defense.
and what's the other guy that I'm thinking? JaMychal Green. So your wings and your bigs have lost a lot of defense, but you did get KCP, who's a good D and 3 and D player.
And we have Jeff Green, who I've always
Who's
loved.
87,000 years old now.
Yes. But I mean, I believe Jeff Green had like half a heart or something. That man was
Yeah.
never supposed to
Yeah.
step foot on a basketball court again.
Yeah.
Anybody
Shout out
that
to
can
Jeff
go
Green.
come back. I love his hustle. I love how he is as a person. We still have Aaron Gordon, which
Right. Who's good at defense?
he is. Aaron Gordon, though, in my opinion, is the reason we lost a lot of games. I think that if he's quicker this year, and I don't mean fast, I mean quicker.
Yeah, I got you.
I saw a lot of lazy play out of Aaron Gordon last year.
Yeah.
And the year we picked him up. So.
I think that's kind of always been the problem with Aaron Gordon is he has all the tools, he has all the potential, and he'll start season. I don't remember how he started last season, but he'll start season shooting so well, and then he'll just fall off and continue to fall off the whole season. He'll give you like Aaron Gordon should be a 20-point per game player. Let's be honest. Especially last year, he was supposed to be the second best player on the team, really.
Yes,
But he doesn't
wasn't.
live up to his contract.
I mean, last year, it was hard to even pinpoint a second best player on the team.
I think Will Barton a lot of the time was who you lost this offseason.
Okay, but Will Barton, I would get Snapchats from people at the games and all my friends back in Denver just basically cussing out Will Barton because Will Barton plays good. Well, he plays good for 40 minutes, or he plays good for most of the game. And then the last 2 minutes, we'll have like a 6-point lead, and there's 20 seconds left in the shot clock, and this man's throwing up 3-point shots.
Denzel Valentine.
Yes. Oh my God, the worst. So I'm sort of excited because really those are the times that matter, and that's what makes Jokic so great, in my opinion. Other than like everything else, is the fact that he'll carry a team the entire game. You'll see him physically fatigued. This man can barely make it up and down the court at the end of the game. Mm-hmm. Not because he's still out of shape, because he's back in shape.
He played every minute.
But because he played every minute, and they facilitated through him every minute.
Yeah, his PER last year was insane, historical.
But he'll still make things happen at the end of the
he'll
game.
Get the game-winning block. I think he had 3 game-winning blocks last year, which is crazy, especially for someone who's not known for defense. Yeah. So what's your prediction?
I think I really want it to be our year. I want it to be our year every year.
Yeah. You're selling sign.
When we had bubbled Jamal Murray, I thought that was going to be the year. Realistically, though, I think it may take one more year after this year to win the championship.
That's okay. Your team is still young.
That's one of the reasons, is our team is mad young. We do have obviously a few people that just raise that gap by a lot and raise the team average age by a lot. Mm-hmm. But if you take those people away, we have an incredibly young team. And also, I think we can beat the Warriors. I think we can beat the Lakers. I think we can beat the Clippers. But I think if you give one more year of wear and tear for Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Draymond, LeBron, AD, Kawhi, right? Like if we can get one more year of wear and tear on them, and we can take a little bit off the Jokic this year, I think next year we'll probably win. I think this year we'll probably end at the 2 or 3,
Wow.
and we'll probably make it to the Western Conference Final. So I'm pretty confident in that.
Wow. Okay, for me, to your point, you have a couple guys who can really raise your ceiling, but they've been out of the league for a year now, and there's a lot of really good teams in the West, and Kawhi looks massive this year, bro.
Kawhi looks
Kawhi looks
deadly.
like he's really out here trying to win his third Finals MVP on a third team. I definitely think Denver will be safe to make it to the playoffs. Um, but I could see it going poorly. I could see another first round exit. So I would say anywhere in like the 3 to 6 range for them. And I think, home court advantage could be huge because obviously Denver, Mile High City, you want that in the playoffs. So we'll see if they can hit that, but I'm not quite sure they can secure home court. But I still see them winning somewhere between 43 and 50 games.
Which is a lot of. I mean, I would say we're a 50-win team for sure. I mean, I don't know. Here's my thing. I think our starting five matches up
Really well.
probably really well or better than almost any other starting five, especially with our age combined with our experience and our chemistry of playing together. Um, but
Can I ask
I
you
don't
a
think,
question? I don't remember. Did Jamal
yeah,
Murray and Aaron Gordon ever get any burn together? Or is Jamal already
I,
injured?
I don't remember. I I don't think so,
Hmm.
but I can't be 100% sure. And if I'm reading this right, by the way, as of right now, we got Bones Highland, KCP, Aaron Gordon, Jeff Green, and Jokic. Those are like a starting five. And then we have, as of right now, we have limited play time for Jamal Murray. And then coming off the bench at small forward, we have MPJ. I
Okay.
think that is highly subject to change, especially as we see these people prove that they're healthy. But you know who we have coming off the bench. Here's my issue. Um, as point guards without, here's our point guards. You ready?
Yeah.
Bones Highland, okay, played
Good.
great, young
Good player.
kid, he's
Yeah.
doing his thing in the league. Not somebody you hear mentioned a lot. Here's who we have coming in after him: Ish Smith.
Yeah.
So, um, you know, maybe I
Maybe you
go
do
back on
want
what I
Austin
just said.
Rivers.
Um, I don't know if I'll ever want Austin Rivers, to be
Fair.
honest.
Fair.
Duke guy, never really my favorite player, and NCAA, never my favorite, and the NBA. Um, yeah, no, not a fan. I think I'll take Ish Smith,
You
and
need a
we'll see what
50. Oh,
happens.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll roll the dice, baby.
Okay.
I'm super excited though.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay. Okay. You want to move on to Brooklyn?
Oh, yes,
Because they just
absolutely, bro.
snagged PJ Dozier from you guys.
I know. Brooklyn this offseason was hectic.
Crazy.
I'll never feel like they're the most, I guess, discombobulated team in New York. That's forever going to be the Knicks. Feel so bad for the Knicks. They're always taking L's.
Yeah.
But this offseason with Kyrie, Kevin Durant, was probably one of the most prolific off seasons we've ever seen. Basically, as soon as the last season ended, Kevin Durant started demanding a trade, and then him and Kyrie had a weird drama session this summer.
Wait,
Um,
wait, hold on. I got something in my head.
I don't think there's any other way to describe this offseason in Brooklyn other than ugly. And it really came from ultimatums to like forcing trades. It was, I mean, and people have done it before, right? Like
Yeah.
James Harden and Simmons.
But this
I
was weird.
This was weird and it felt very personal, and it was almost a test of like, this is sort of where the owners sort of stood tall and they were like, we want
Yeah.
control back.
Yeah.
Um,
Shout out
Kevin
to
Durant,
them.
yeah, no. And Kevin Durant was like, no, like I'm a player and I bring you guys the most money. You need to let me leave if I want to leave. And then him and Kyrie were like, oh, are you leaving? Are you staying? Like it was the weirdest thing
Yeah.
in the world. It was like a clingy girl when you're trying to get away from her, but you couldn't. Or
And
a
it's
clingy
like,
guy.
and the whole like Steve Nash side of it too. They wanted him gone. He's still here. Really weird. Really weird.
How do you feel about Steve Nash, I guess, is
Yeah.
what I'll ask.
He hasn't shown anything to say he's a good coach, really. Like,
Yeah.
to your point, you mentioned this off camera. They were the 2 seed 2 seasons ago, but they also had James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin freaking Durant. So
Yeah. And they were
last season they
never,
were bad.
I mean, and it's weird, right? Because you always, it seems like Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook are just the woes and the ups and downs have been drastic for
Yeah.
them. They
And
can,
Kyrie.
they could, yeah. And I am a Kyrie. I freaking love Kyrie.
Same.
I think Kyrie gets way too much hate. I think Kyrie has the best handles in the league. Anybody can
Ever.
at me. I
Ever.
don't care. Probably ever. I mean, is people say like Jay
Jamal.
Will and stuff like that, and I'm like,
Jamal
okay, like,
Crawford.
yeah. And Jamal Crawford is like,
In
come on,
contention,
man.
for sure.
He's up there for sure. I mean, we saw stuff that we only saw in street ball before. Jamal
Jamal,
Crawford
AI,
underrated.
Steph, and Kyrie.
Jamal and AI sort of helped transform that part of the league, in my opinion.
But even they
Um,
say like
they
Kyrie's
pioneered
the
it.
guy.
Kyrie's handles are freaking amazing. Getting way off
Yeah,
topic.
yeah,
I
yeah.
just love
Let's go back.
Kyrie.
So
Um,
another Australian-born player who gets a ton of hate got added to the roster last year. Patty Mills. No, I'm just playing. Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons sat out, of course, the whole year after passing up that dunk that could have beat the Hawks. And poor guy, man, he's been through it with the fans, with the media. He
yeah,
lost his love for basketball. He's been injured. He had a surgery, but he was just on JJ Redick's podcast yesterday, and he seems like he's in a good spot mentally. He seems like he's going to be ready physically. He said that he has to go out and shoot threes, and he said he's super excited for the team for a fresh start. It's just super weird adding a dysfunctional player into a dysfunctional roster. We have no idea how that's gonna work out, but hopefully for him, like I've always liked Ben Simmons, and obviously he's had his flaws, and obviously he did not handle everything well in Philadelphia. But I think he's been just dogged for reasons that are beyond his control. You know, mental health is
well,
is big, and physical health, bro. He's had back issues since LSU. So of course,
and
go ahead.
I just think that sort of aligns with why Kyrie is dogged. And
Right,
this is
right,
what I
right.
was gonna say. Like, I feel like the Nets have a decent, for what it's worth, I think they have a decent front office. Probably not the best, but they did the best with their situation.
They've brought
Steve
in talent.
Steve Nash can be a good coach. I still believe that. I don't think all players make good coaches. Most of them don't.
Let me ask you a
It doesn't.
question.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you think Steve Nash is a better coach than Kenny Atkinson?
No, and I think that's part of the problem. And I think that's sort of. I was watching the Lakers documentary, okay, and they were talking about frick, I forget the dude's name, but who they had before Phil Jackson. Um, uh, White dude with glasses that's
Yeah,
half the coaches in the league.
it's in my Kobe book. You want me to go look?
No, it's fine. But he was a good coach, and really, like, he would have been freaking amazing back in college or whatever. But what happened was he became too much of a lesson coach and a lecture coach, and he lost Shaq through that.
Mm.
And once you lose those key players, it doesn't matter if you're a great coach or not. You probably need to leave, because the only way it works is if you have a coach that understands how to work with those players. Eric Spoelstra is a good
Yeah.
example. That man is a wonderful coach and sort of understands every single player he's ever dealt with, from D Wade to Jimmy, right? And we had Jimmy having issues at the 76ers, and then he comes to Miami, everything's good, everything's copacetic. It seems like the Nets, more than anything, need a therapist. Okay, they don't need another physical trainer. They may need a different coach who knows. They don't need a new front office, but they need a therapist on deck for that team. Because I think mental health is really the issue that we see with the Nets. And I mean, in a way, it's sort of admirable, the fact that we now have a team where that is the biggest issue, because it's sort of at the forefront of like, okay, these people are human and they do go through stuff, and it's not just like a torn Achilles or something. Right. So I think it's really not cool, but I think it's something that
Something
we'll
to
pay
highlight.
attention more to in the league now. And I think if their mental health is good, this team will be really, really good if
Their
they can mesh well
chemistry.
together.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
here's like, you look at the roster, and on paper, it's a great team. They're a little thin at center, Nick Claxton, and then I don't even know who their backup five is anymore. They don't have Drummond. I guess Ben Simmons will probably run some backup five, maybe KD. But on paper, they're great. You have Ben Simmons with a bunch of shooters. Joe Harris, Seth Curry, perfect for him. Kyrie is obviously a great shooter. You want him to do more than just shoot, and he definitely will. But great shooter. Kevin Durant, one of the best 7-foot shooters ever. It's going to be a great team on paper. Patty Mills, thank you. Yep.
You have TJ Warren.
Yeah, they signed TJ Warren. Royce O'Neal, another good 3-and-D player. So they have a good, like, their wing rotation especially is nice, but it all depends on if it'll mesh and if they'll clash with the coaching staff or whatever. You could easily see in-season trades coming for this team. It's just this is probably the biggest question mark in the NBA this season.
Absolutely.
So I guess with saying that, where do you see them finishing?
This is really hard to say. They have two of not like what I have as like my best players or who I love to watch or blah, blah, blah. And I know I said I don't like Duke players, but they have two of my favorite players that I just like in general. Seth Curry and Kyrie. Seth Curry is amazing. People sleep on him because his brother Steph, of course. But Seth has infiltrated multiple teams and done really well for those teams and become a big part of it.
He was huge. He was huge in Philly.
Huge in Philly. And actually, I mean, I live right down the road from Philly now. There's no love lost for Seth Curry here. People love him. But yeah, realistically, man, it could go either way. They could be a wash and it could be a terrible season, or they could finish like they did a couple years ago.
They could win the championship.
Maybe.
They could win the championship, or they can completely miss the play-in tournament.
Yeah, I think it's the biggest question mark that we've actually had in a while. Like, not just this season, but over the past few seasons. Obviously, a recent one that comes to memories, and we all know how that worked out, was how the Lakers veterans would do all together.
Lakers. Also, the Westbrook Rockets was a big question mark too.
Yeah,
not to this extent.
Sidebar, you guys hating on Westbrook is stupid.
We'll get to that.
Okay. Oh yeah, we will. Okay.
Next,
cool.
actually, yeah. All so, right. What's your final prediction?
Oh God, I think they make the tournament, maybe play in. I don't see him winning this year.
Okay. For me, yeah, I mean, honestly, they could win with, 58 wins or 28 wins. I can see them. Yeah, I don't see them winning the championship. I don't see any of this being good for KD's legacy, any of this being good for Kyrie's legacy. I think Ben Simmons could save face if he has a good year, but I don't see them. I agree. I think they're a playing team, and I think they could be a team that causes a first round upset, maybe if they play well. But you could easily see like them trading Kyrie halfway through the season, right? So I
Yeah,
don't think they're
and
gonna
I
do
think
much.
Kyrie deserves better as a whole. He just deserves a team and teammates that want to play with him. Kyrie, like if you ask different people, I think LeBron was one of the people that said like he was the best guard that he's ever played with. Kyrie
I
was.
think Jason Tatum has said that too.
Yeah, and you got to remember that LeBron played with D Wade, right? So it speaks volumes. Kyrie is that good,
Mm.
and Kyrie deserves a chance to prove that he's that good. And I will say, like, just as like a one of my things, they have Day'Ron Sharp, who played for UNC last year. I
Mhm.
believe it's his first year in the league. I don't know how much playing time he'll get, but if Ben Simmons does not do well, that's another power forward that is somebody to look for, and
He
he's a
was
sleeper.
good in the tournament.
He's a sleeper. He's not like everybody's rookie of the year by any means, but I think he'll do really good once he gets in. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Okay, well, moving on to the LA Lakers. Um, Man, the Lakers, bro. I think behind the nets, this is the biggest question mark. I don't think they're going to be a championship team, but they could still do a little something, something. They had a terrible offseason. Shout out to Nick at the Daily Dribble, Lakers fan. I feel bad for you, bro. But also, I was a Bulls fan when we had the worst record in the league for a 4-year average. So I don't feel that bad. You still have LeBron. But your best pickup in the offseason was probably Dennis Schroeder, who you just got this week.
The
Other than
bad
that,
fumbling, baby.
Stanley Johnson, Troy Brown Jr., these are some of the names they signed. To
Scottie
go
Pippen
from
Jr.
Scottie Pippen Jr., yeah, who's dating, or excuse me, Michael Jordan's dating Scottie Pippen's ex-wife, but Michael Jordan's son is dating Scottie Pippen's ex-wife. There we go. That's the connection.
Okay, so I'm gonna read this roster out to you. This is what I have. It may be outdated, but for the 2022-2023 season, okay.
Okay.
Um, Carmelo, who I believe was a free agent. I don't know if he's still there or not.
Yeah.
38 years old.
Oof.
DJ Augustine, 34. Pat Bev is
Yeah, they just got Pat Bev.
34.
They traded who? Taylor Horton Tucker for him? Pat Bev was a
Yeah.
decent pickup. I give him that.
Avery Bradley, 31.
But he
Anthony
plays
Davis.
like he's 41.
Anthony Davis hurt all the time in 29. Wayne Ellington, 34. LeBron, 37. And then Kendrick Nunn, 27. You got Thomas Bryant from Washington. Decent pickup. I liked watching him. He's actually pretty good. He just played for Washington. So
He was, but he wasn't as good when he got back from his injury.
no.
He's
And then
also
Dennis
really,
Schroeder.
really, really, really bad at defense.
They got Lonnie Walker.
Yes, they did actually.
Okay.
I forgot about that.
Dennis Schroeder, 29, and Russell Westbrook, 33. Okay. That is, I assume and I believe this is the oldest team in the league.
Probably. We also have Austin Reeves there, who's young.
He's young. He's from Oklahoma. He's decent. He also wears my number, 15. So shout out Austin Reeves. And then you got Lonnie Walker, of course, which just mentioned.
He's fine.
He's decent. Pat Bev, I think, is a wonderful pickup. We'll see how Westbrook and Pat Bev play together. I love Pat Bev. I think he's really gritty and a good pickup for a team that seems to lack not the will to win by any means. I mean, you have freaking LeBron there, so I'm never
Yeah.
gonna say that. But it seems to
But
be a team that
outside of
lacks
LeBron,
energy whenever they're down bad, right?
yeah, they
And
just
like
don't
it seemed
have
like,
that hunger.
and it seems like it's a lot of pointing fingers and blaming other players, and it doesn't seem like the team chemistry is there. I'll always love Carmelo. He played at Oak Hill in Virginia. Carmelo is awesome. He played against this dude I knew in high school. Carmelo's unreal. He'll always be one of my favorite NBA players, but he's old, right? And hopefully he's still there. But they have, I mean, this roster just looks like
Yeah.
you got veterans and then you got people I never even
It's
heard
like
of
a
for the most part.
2K auto-generated roster. It's like, let's
I'm
sign
telling
all
you,
these
dude.
free agents. Bro, so I saw No Dunks the other day did start, cut, bench, Schroeder, Westbrook, Pat Bev. What you got?
As much as I freaking love Westbrook, man, and I don't think he deserves to hate. I mean, who averages a triple double for 2 years?
Yeah. 4
No one.
years, I think.
4 years, or nobody, right? And you can say whatever you want, but there's guys on worse teams that don't do that, so
Yeah.
it doesn't matter, right? I mean, he still did it. Um, Start though, just with the way they looked last year
Just
with the
based off the
chemistry.
Lakers. Yeah.
Pat Bev,
Hmm.
I'm gonna bench Westbrook, and I'm sorry, Dennis Schroeder. You gotta be cut, dude.
Poor guy has lost so
I feel so
much.
bad, dude.
But
Because
also I don't, because it's his fault.
we would never be saying this if he took that deal. Obviously, different team, whatever. But
Yeah.
like, it was not a career ender, but it was like when I don't even want to compare it to that because even MGK came back. But it's like when MGK went after Eminem, right? It's like that was it was close to a career ender. He
This
saved
man
it.
got an $84 million extension offer from the Lakers 2 years ago and was like, nah, I'm going to make more money. Signed I think, a $5 million deal for the Celtics, played like garbage, got cut from the Celtics. Had to go out and show that he was still a good basketball player overseas playing for Germany. And then he got signed to a vet minimum 2 years later. Poor guy. But
And
I think I'd have to, unfortunately, cut Westbrook. I do really like Westbrook. I think he gets too much hate, but just with this team, the way it's constructed, he deserves better. So I think it'd be
I
best for him to go
okay.
somewhere else.
Question: what would you think about? And I know it won't happen, but if we got a trade, just a straight up trade, Kyrie and Westbrook.
Yeah, apparently that almost happened, but the Nets wanted some picks and the Lakers didn't want to do that. I mean, good for the Lakers, right? Good for LeBron to be with Kyrie again. You much rather take Kyrie than Westbrook at this point, but
For that team, yeah. And I think
I think any team.
I'm not LeBron is highly idolized as a person, what he does for the community, as a basketball player, how he's always stayed out of trouble. But nobody's flawless. And I do think, I mean, Jordan was was a dick, right? Kobe was a dick. I don't think LeBron is to that extent a jerk like that, but I do think it is obviously he's LeBron, right? So it's LeBron's way, LeBron's team, and not everybody meshes well with that. And when you have somebody like Westbrook who has been really wonderful, minus last season, but even last season, I think he ended with like a ridiculously high field goal percentage.
He shot over 44%, which for Westbrook is good, especially the way that people are talking about him. You would have thought he shot like 30%.
Yeah,
So nah, bro. I guess I like obviously there's question marks. Is Westbrook gonna be moved? I think the team would be more inclined to play together if Westbrook wasn't there. As bad as it is for as bad of a look as it is for him, but he's been very professional about this. And now Darvin Ham is the new coach, and he sounds like he plans to work with Westbrook and do, he was hyping him up at the press conference. I don't know if that's just because he wants his trade value to go up or if he actually means it, but
Well, you got Pat Bev there now.
you got
with
Pat Bev
Westbrook.
there now. And yeah, it's gonna be interesting. So where do you see this team finishing? They were the 13 seed or the 12 seed last year. They were bad.
I think they'll finish higher than that. I do. I think things happen. LeBron is still LeBron, even though he's 38.
Is AD? We didn't even talk about AD. Is AD gonna play this year? Because I keep waiting for AD to be like, I'm the best player in the NBA, and that hasn't happened.
AD is probably one of my least favorite players in the NBA. I not because of anything besides the fact that there's only a few, like if he comes out and he has some rare disease or his bones are just brittle, okay. But like he's set out games that he probably could have played. There's been some questionable injuries that he's had that it's like,
especially in New Orleans.
Is he really injured? Probably not. AD is, I don't know. I think we'll get the same old story. I hope not.
He'll play
but it seems
the
like
season.
It seems like I know he's had some real injuries. Don't get me wrong. For sure. I know he has, and it's hard to come back from those, especially when you're playing at that level. So props to him for that. But it seems like when things are going well, we don't see AD injured that much. But when things are going bad, we all of a sudden see that AD's hurt. So I am not going to hold out much hope, but I don't think they'll finish last. Oh, look, it's a groundhog. Sorry. It's just chilling, walking down the street. I don't think they'll finish last. I definitely don't think they'll finish above midway. Like, I think they'll be
think they'll make the playoffs? Okay. Play in?
I think they'll either make it or play in.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think 2 years ago they were the 7 seed. And I could see that happening again, especially, I mean, obviously a lot depends on Westbrook and what happens there. They would probably not get a positive asset for him, but maybe just someone more fit for the team.
Well, I mean, the Western Conference, right? You have the Trailblazers, which
they're better.
Go for them. But also, I can't stand the Trailblazers because I'm a Nuggets fan, and we're always playing each other in the playoffs. But you have the Warriors, the Lakers, the Suns,
the new look Timberwolves,
the Timberwolves, the Mavs,
the Nuggets,
the Rockets,
the Rockets, bro.
Well, I don't know. I'm losing it.
Kevin Porter Jr.
All these teams.
You have a lot of teams, that are decent.
You have the Clippers. I mean, but then you have OKC. You have the Pelicans. We'll have Zion, though.
The Pelicans are probably going to be better than the Lakers this year. I'm not going to cap on you.
And we should have put the Pelicans on this list, probably.
I think they'll be – last year they made the playoffs. I think they'll make the playoffs again this year. I don't see too many question marks.
You only have a few teams, in my opinion,
that are worse than the Lakers.
Yeah, and things have to work out, right? Like if Jamal gets hurt again or MPJ, like Nuggets will still be better than the Lakers, but it'll be a whole lot different. And you have the Jazz who have made a lot of changes recently.
They're going to be bad.
I don't think they will be better than the Lakers necessarily. I think the Suns will, though. I mean,
despite what's happened with the Suns recently.
Yeah, so I don't see the Lakers by any means at all contending now. And I think LeBron's in reservation mode, waiting on his Suns to be in the league. I don't know.
LeBron's probably going to go out and get the all-time points record this season, so that's something to look out for if you're a Lakers fan.
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, as a new era player, right, it's not like you play every minute of every game, regardless if you're 0-82 or 82-0. It's just not that, especially with the superstars, right? Like back in the day, absolutely. but now there's so much longevity in the game, and LeBron is the athlete that spends over $1 million on his health a year, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so a man doing that is obviously thinking not just this season but next.
LeBron's been in the NBA for
see.
20 years now, bro. I'm 21. This is his
And
20th season.
I think he's going for like a Tom Brady, like we'll be here till we're 40 something.
Oh yeah.
I really do.
Okay.
I really do.
Oh, moving on.
All right. So now we're down south.
South
All right.
Beach.
South Beach, baby. We're going to Miami. I love Jimmy, obviously. Maybe not as much as some other people on this podcast.
I'll be right back. You keep talking though.
What? Okay. It'll be right back. I'll wonder where he's going. But we have Jimmy Butler, we have Tyler Hero, we have a few additions to this team. Realistically, I think the Heat are going to be really good this year, but I don't know. I mean, they're in the Eastern Conference, so if the Nets pull it together, who knows where the Heat will land. Obviously, we have the Celtics who are just in the finals. We have the Bucks, right? So, okay. There we go, baby.
Had to get right, baby.
I love that jersey. That thing's so sexy.
I got the City Edition jersey on for those listening to the audio format.
We have Kyle Lowry.
Old man Kyle.
No, old man Udonis.
Yeah.
Old man Udonis, man. We got Moses on the Miami Heat still, and I don't even know why. But we got Bam, obviously. So we'll see. We got a couple of new additions, like I said. Deadman plays decent each year. Never great, never
He's
bad.
good. He's good on Miami. And we also have Yerserman, or how do you say it? Yeah, something like that. He's good. He played really well when Bam was injured last year.
And we have Nikola
Jovic, man, that's gonna be a guy to look out for. Yeah, bro. Like the roster looks good. The roster looks really good.
And Victor Oladipo.
Victor Oladipo, who apparently looks better than ever. So if he's really like, we saw him, I think it was game 2, game 3 of the Atlanta series last year. If he's playing like that, Miami's in contention. I'm a little bit worried, and there's a couple reasons they're on this list, because obviously they're going to be a playoff team. Like, that's not a question. They're not a huge question mark in that sense, but they lost a guy by the name of PJ Tucker, who was huge for them. I don't think people
talk about championship pedigree.
That dude's been on very successful teams. He's made deep runs year after year, and he finally got his chip with the Bucks year before last. And now he's in Philly, when Philly's doing the Philadelphia Rockets featuring Embiid. So that's going to be crazy. But I think losing him was a big hit. I'm not quite sure who they're going to start at 4. I've seen a rumor around that they are going to start Jimmy and then also start Kyle Oladipo and Duncan Robinson, or Max Strus. And I don't think that's going to be great. Jimmy's a good, really, really, really good defender, but he's a wing defender.
Do you think you keep the 6th man of the year at 6th man?
I mean, if it's not broken, right? It's going to be, I think they should give him a crack at starting, but we'll see what happens in training camp. Training camp starts in a week or 2.
He plays better off the bench.
He plays way better, and he gives them a offensive punch that they don't have, right? Jimmy will get you 20 or whatever. He'll bring the playmaking. He'll bring the defense. He'll get boards. He's just a all-around great player. He's my favorite player ever. And, he was one shot away from going back to the finals this year. But he needs help. He needs help. And if Tyler Hero's going to play well in the regular season, I think he should be demanded to play well in the playoffs, because he's never done that except for in the Celtics series in the bubble.
Absolutely.
Other than that, he's been kind of buns.
I think the Heat probably would have matched up a little better against the Warriors, if I'm being honest. And I mean, really, there's out of all these teams, like when we're talking roster, like from your starting to the very last player on the bench,
Miami
out
gets
of
the
all these
most out
teams
of
we
their
mentioned,
players.
Miami definitely has the best overall roster, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You have, I mean, Max Strus, right?
Max
And
Strus, Gabe Vincent, like
Gabe Vincent.
Caleb
Miami does
Martin.
amazing at developing players.
Exactly. Caleb
Amazing.
Martin, bro, he was a fringe player. You know, he was not good enough for the Hornets to re-sign. Miami
Where
took a
did
flyer on him. Miami
Caleb and
took a
Caden play?
flyer on him, and he ended up playing so well in the playoffs last year. They gave him a 3-year deal. He might start at 4. Again, he's small, but you're not gonna have anyone over. I mean, Bam's 6'9". Outside of him, you're not gonna have anyone over 6'7" starting probably in Miami.
No,
So
no.
it's gonna be PJ Tucker is a big loss, but also another concern is just Kyle Lowry is very old. And Pat Riley, you remember Pat Riley's end of season press conference? He was calling everyone out. He called Kyle Lowry fat. He said that he was lazy, all sorts of stuff. So if Kyle Lowry is in shape coming into the season, then Miami, I think, will be a contender again. If not, I'm concerned. I love Kyle Lowry. I got to meet him. He FaceTimed Jimmy for me. I'm the reason he's in Miami. You're all welcome. And I think he obviously is a great partner for Jimmy there, and he's helped Bam a lot with his development. But he's 36. He's going to be 37 soon. And, you know,
But that
he's
was
lost a lot of speed.
somebody who was completely underwhelming in the playoffs as well. Bam,
Yes. Bam
right?
and Kyle. Kyle had offers in the playoffs.
Yeah. And it's not the first time we've seen something like that from Kyle Lowry.
No, it's not, unfortunately. But hey, man, without Kyle Lowry, Raptors would have never won the championship.
That's true, but without Kawhi, they would have never won either. So
That's true.
But I mean, I don't know. I love this team. I think Jimmy will never get the respect he deserves
Of
unless he
course
wins a
not.
chip.
Yeah.
And even when he wins a chip, I think we'll be talking about Bam and
I
people like
think
that.
outside of Jimmy, you have maybe Steph and maybe Luka, who were better in the playoffs last year. But Jimmy plays both ways, and those other guys don't. So I
And that's
think
something that doesn't get a lot of respect.
no, I think Jimmy was
Even though
probably the
people always
best all
talk about it.
around. And you
Yeah.
want a guy like Jimmy to be your playoff superstar. We know Jimmy will go, like I said, 20-ish points a game in the season. He's 33 now. He played under Thibodeau for a lot of years. We don't know how his legs are gonna hold up going into this huge contract extension. But at least for this year, you have him while he's still in his prime, maybe not quite peak, but he's in his prime, and in the playoffs he'll show off. You want to make sure that you're in contention for as long as you can with him before you move on to the Bam and Tyler Hero era completely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like with the Heat, the question isn't so much are they going to be good? They're going to be good.
It's how good.
I think on any given night they could beat any team in the league by 20, 30 points. I really do. Because they have multiple people that play both ways.
Yeah.
When they feel like it. Right.
Yeah.
And like
that's right. Is Bam gonna be dominant this year? Because we've seen Bam that the first year Jimmy was in Miami, Bam was insane. But since then, he's kind of failed to live up to that. He's still really good. Don't get me wrong, but he's also injury prone, low key. He missed, I think, 30-ish games last season. Jimmy also is injury prone. Kyle's injury prone. Tyler Hero is a little bit injury prone too. So it's a matter of how healthy are they going to be? And when they're healthy, how well are they going to play together? Again, they don't really have a power forward. That's going to hurt them. But they're still going to be good. They're at least going to be decent. Where do you see them finishing? Championship contenders? A level down?
I really see if they were in the West, I'd say a level down for sure. In the East, though, who are they contending with? The Celtics,
the Bucks,
and the Bucks, right? I mean, but realistically,
the Sixers.
Yeah, I could see them I could see them for sure beating any of those teams.
Yeah, agreed.
I could also see them losing to any of those teams.
Agreed.
I think that they will be Eastern Conference Finals probably, if they play up to the level. The catch 22 with having a team that's so well rounded is everybody has to be firing on all cylinders in order to be successful.
Mm.
So to me, it's like Jimmy is a superstar, yeah. But is Jimmy like Jokic, where everybody else can be trash and he'll continue to carry for the rest of the team? I
He's
don't think
he took
he
the
will have
Timberwolves
this.
to the playoffs.
Yeah, but I don't think that. Yeah, playoffs for sure, right? But like, are we gonna get to the championship with this Heat team?
Right, right.
Maybe. I do think they have one of the best coaches in the league,
Yeah,
so that's
probably
a plus.
the. I mean, Coach Pop, I guess, is still in the league. Behind Pop, probably the best coach, right?
But currently, probably the best coach. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, man. I think it's. I agree. Like, I could easily see them either. Will they win the championship? My honestly, probably not. As much as I would love for Jimmy to get his, I don't know. They kind of missed their opportunity twice now. Not Jimmy's fault at all, obviously, but I don't see them being better than they were last year. So I have
No.
them, and maybe the A or B tier in the East. They're gonna be competitive. They'll probably have home court. I don't know. They might make the conference finals, and after that, I don't know. So I would say, yeah, they're gonna be a 50+ win team.
Well, it would be up to the other teams to be worse as opposed to the Heat to be better. So that's a big thing. But I think like last year, if you have like Kyle Lowry actually playing well in the
Yeah,
playoffs, Bam and Tyler Hero who
yeah,
just crap the bed in the playoffs.
yeah.
Like what are you supposed to do? You know, you have PJ Tucker, old man PJ Tucker diving into the stands for
PJ
loose
Tucker
balls.
was, I'm telling you, bro, like PJ
And you
Tucker's
have
a big
Tyler Hero.
loss.
And Tyler Hero airballing 3-point
You
balls and
have, yeah. I mean, Duncan Robinson had one wonderful game, and then he's just such a defensive liability that he can't be out there.
I don't like him in the starting role at all.
No,
And
it worked for the bubble year, but that was it.
I don't. He's. I feel like they could have got a better role player on like this offseason, but I think
Yeah,
Duncan Robinson's locked in on his contract,
yeah, oh
correct?
yeah, big contract. And
So,
yeah, that's another thing. Miami doesn't make a lot of mid-season moves, but a couple years ago they did for Jay Crowder, and apparently Jay Crowder wants to go back to Miami now. He's asked to be out of Phoenix, so we'll see. They don't really have assets anymore. They kind of let their assets go to waste with Casey Apala and all those people. So we'll see what they do. They do have Jovic if they want to throw him in, but if they think he's special, then they'll probably keep him. He'll end up being their long-term four next to Bam. That could be nice. But for this year, I would take Jay Crowder. You know, him and Jimmy have great chemistry, played together in Marquette, and then obviously in Miami went to the finals together. So we'll see what happens.
yeah, and I think Jay Crowder's really good too. I mean, I understand why I want to be traded. That Suns team is really, really good, but you also have Cam
You have
Johnson,
Cam
Mikal
Johnson, yeah.
Bridges.
And then
Like,
obviously all the drama going on with Phoenix
yeah,
right now. So
right. And Jay Crowder wants to be removed from that situation.
yeah,
So we'll see.
we'll see.
What do you think about the T Wolves?
Ooh, buddy. I think the Timberwolves are another question that's like
Yeah,
they'll probably be good in the regular season. Will they get home court advantage? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. You could see it
I,
going either way. Cat
I
and
think they're the
Gobert,
biggest. Yeah,
yeah, Cat and Gobert can complement each other very well, or they could get in each other's way. I don't think many people are fans of Rudy Gobert, and I'm certainly not one of the few that are. But I do think he's a good player to have in the regular season. He gets played off the court in the playoffs time and time again, so that's going to be an issue. But if
but you
you're
see,
if you have two 7-footers locked into $500,000 on their contract. I mean, $500 million between the two on their contract. You better be in contention for the next several years. And I think a lot of it is going to come down to Anthony Edwards, bro. Like, that's why the Timberwolves are on this list for me. Obviously, the Gobert thing, but Edwards is that guy. I really do think so. I think he's better than LaMelo, and I think people will see that long term. I love LaMelo, like, don't get me wrong, but I think he was the number one pick for a reason, and he can be what people were hoping for with Andrew Wiggins, what the Timberwolves fans wanted Wiggins to be, which is the all-star Kobe type player. I think the sky's the limit for him, but if he takes that step this year, then they can be, I don't know if they'll be contenders, but they could be 3 seed. You know, I think they'll be up there. I think they need more playoff run, especially together with this new roster to actually be contenders, but they have their guys locked in for a while. I don't know what D'Lo's contract looks like, but he's not he's not necessarily essential to them. He's good, and he played really well last year, and him and Cat have a nice chemistry, but you can get a D'Lo replacement at this point. You know, he's a 16-6 guy.
D'Lo, according to ESPN, D'Lo has a $31 million for this year.
From the Warriors when they signed him for KD, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot of money for D'Lo, bro.
It is. And here's my thing, I guess. I think we'll see Anthony Edwards take a step forward, and he'll be more like, I mean, not as athletic or anything like that, but a lot more like Ja and Memphis this year for Minnesota, right?
I see that
and
for sure.
For those teams, those type of teams, the teams that aren't legacy teams, you need guys like that.
Yeah.
And I think that will be a good start. Definitely don't see them winning this year by any means.
No. But they do have a good roster. Like,
they have a decent, they're young for the most part.
Yeah.
And I think they're not rebuilding right now,
No,
but I think they're developing.
They have, like, I think this is probably the best Timberwolves roster I've seen. They don't have the Jimmy type guy, but Anthony Edwards could be that. But they have, like, their bench is good. You have Naz Reid. You have Jordan McLaughlin, who's very underrated. He's a good player, bro. Who else do they have coming off the bench? I guess Jaden McDaniels, maybe Kyle Anderson starts. Maybe he comes off the bench. Eric Pascal, Torian Prince. So
you have guys. A bad offseason move, though.
What?
And got Austin Rivers.
Oh, true. So, they also gave up all of their picks for Rudy Gobert, who, again, is not going to give you anything in the playoffs. So good luck.
Here's my thing. Watching Rudy Gobert and Nikola.
We watched them live. And Rudy Gobert was giving the Nuggets buckets low key, bro.
He was giving them the business, right? And, like, I will forever dislike Rudy Gobert just from a fan point of view, a fan level. I mean, I am a loyal Nuggets fan, and Rudy Gobert just was so hard to watch.
I'm not going to lie, bro. Like, obviously, I'm a Bulls fan. We talked about that at the beginning. I wanted Chicago to make a move for Gobert, but I'm kind of relieved that they didn't, seeing how much the Timberwolves had to give up.
I think he got way too much. I think if he cost them less, it would have been a good move.
Yeah.
I really, really do. I don't think he's worth what they gave him.
I think 4 unprotected picks. It's crazy.
But, I mean, realistically, I think he could be a good addition. We'll see. But they have, I don't know, this roster's sort of weird.
They don't have a lot of, Naz Reid's good. They don't have a lot of guard play outside of their starting backcourt.
I mean, not really. Anthony Edwards plays as a guard a lot.
Yeah, but you have him and D'Lo. Him and D'Lo are going to be their starters probably.
And Austin Rivers is going to get a lot of playing time here. He's always like a bench general for that second string for some reason, almost every team he goes to. And it never works out great. We have Wendell Moore Jr., though, on this team. So I'm a fan. We'll see how that goes. Play for Duke. Man, stupid Duke. Um, yeah, I don't know. And then you have Cat, D'Lo, and Anthony Edwards. You would think that would be all you would need to
Yeah.
be good.
Cat
But
put up probably the most overlooked 60-point game of all time last season.
yeah, and 60-point games don't hit how they used to for some
No, they don't.
reason.
Maybe it's because Kyrie put up 60 on 19 shots the next night, but still.
I want to move on to what I'm most excited to talk about.
Okay. Wait, did you say where you see the Timberwolves finishing?
They'll make the playoffs. I think they'll lose the first round.
Okay. I can see them going second round.
That's fair. Depends on who they play. Again,
For sure.
they have a decent amount of people to get through in that conference.
Yeah.
So, and the East is like, I remember a few years back, it's like the East is trash and the Western Conference is all there is. Now the East is good, but the Western Conference still just has so much.
This is the
firepower.
most talented the NBA's ever been, man.
Absolutely, and it's just going to be like that. 20 years from now, we'll say that,
Yeah.
So it's just how people grow and how the human race develops.
Yeah.
The Cavs, baby.
Cavs. You want to start us off?
Yeah, I'm super excited to watch the Cavs this year. I'll probably go to a couple games. I'm relatively close to them. They're actually the closest NBA team to me. I love Kevin Love, man. Like, dude's great. He really got back into his own. And another mental health thing, right? Like, Love was very conscious, and I think he did things the right way and went about things the right way when he was having mental health issues.
Maybe not when he was throwing the basketball at Colin Sexton and all that, but
well, screw Colin Sexton. I'm just kidding. You got Donovan Mitchell now.
Donovan Mitchell with Darius Garland.
With Darius Garland and no more Colin Sexton.
Nope. And they were able to get Rubio back for a backup, and he was great for them last year before he got injured.
I think it will be an interesting year in Cleveland. We will not be anywhere close to the Kyrie, LeBron level by any means, but I've always loved Jared Allen. I think he's an incredibly underrated center, even though people do talk about him. He is one of the best shot blockers in the league.
Rudy Gobert with a midi. Yeah,
exactly. He can also knock it down. And I think he plays well on any team that he's on. He played well on the Nets.
He's great on the Nets, man.
Having so much trouble. They have
Evan Mobley.
They have Ed Davis, who's going to be a good vet to teach and coach. I think Jared Allen.
I believe Ed Davis and Jared Allen played together in Brooklyn, right? At some point. And maybe that's it on that roster. No, Karis LeVert. Karis LeVert's still there.
Karis LeVert. Robin Lopez.
Yeah, Rolo, my boy. My boy.
He needs to go, man. He's 34 years old, and you have freaking Ed Davis.
Chicago, bro.
Ed Davis is 33.
Robin Lopez is better than Ed Davis, though.
Didn't Ed Davis play for the Raptors?
At one point.
Yeah. The guy.
You have Evan Mobley.
Rondo.
They still have Rondo. Was it Rondo in some legal trouble this summer?
Maybe. I don't know. Probably. This man's throwing punches on the court. So I'd say probably. Donovan Mitchell, K-Love, Karis LeVert, Okoro, who's, I think, really good, or can be.
Good at defense.
I think he can be.
He cannot hit a shot.
I don't know. Looking at the roster, it's a good roster. Underwhelming, but it's good.
It's a good roster. I think
they made some good additions.
Yeah, they didn't have to give up too much for Donovan Mitchell. Obviously, it was mostly draft compensation, but the players they gave up, Lauri Markkanen, Colin Sexton, good players, but not anyone that you're going to miss too much. Colin Sexton was a bucket, but he was a bucket that took away from the team, I think, a lot of times.
You didn't need Darius Garland and Colin Sexton, in
No,
my
you
opinion.
didn't. And Laurie is a good player. You know, he was good in Chicago in the beginning. Boylan really messed up his development. Hopefully, he can maybe get on the right track in Utah. Kind of a blank slate.
It's like
Yeah,
some
that's the
marksman,
one.
baby. We'll see
Yeah,
what happens.
he just put up 46 in the tournament a couple weeks ago. So shout out to him. But I think a guy that you kind of skipped over there who's going to be super impactful is second year player Evan Mobley. Mobley is a great like all around player. His defense is very bam Draymond like. He can guard a lot of different spaces on the floor. And I think having Jarrett Allen kind of stick near the basket on defense and then have Mobley kind of play like a free safety can be so useful because Donovan Mitchell is not a good defender. And Darius Garland is not a good defender either. They're small guys. They're both 6'1". And to have that as your starting backcourt, you need a good defensive front court. So I think Okoro, Mobley the iceberg, and Jarrett Allen together out there will compensate what they lack, and then you get the buckets from the backcourt. So if it meshes together, they'll be a good team. But I could also see them being a playing team, bro. I don't think they're gonna be quite as good as a lot of the media expects. Similar to Atlanta with DeJounte Murray, people are acting like they're gonna be better than Chicago and all. I don't see that happening. Maybe I'm just a biased Bulls fan, but I don't think they'll be better than Chicago, or I don't think they'll be better than Miami. So I honestly have them as like a 7 seed type team.
I don't know. I don't know if they'll be making the playoffs.
Wow. Hot take.
Yeah. I Donovan Mitchell is amazing. Jared Allen's really good. Darius Garland, Evan Mobley is really good too. But
They don't have wings.
they don't have all the pieces, I don't think. And I think some of the pieces they do have are either A, need more developing, or B, are old and decrepit. So I just don't necessarily see the Cavs. I mean, probably a play-in team, I guess, is where I could see them. But I think the Hawks may be better than the Cavs this year.
Maybe. They might be.
I think the Heat, obviously. I think.
Do you think Chicago is going to be better?
I think Charlotte might be better than the Cavs this year.
I think Charlotte did nothing but lose Miles Bridges this summer. So yeah. I don't see them being any better than last year.
I think that the Bulls will be better. I think the Sixers will be better. Yeah. I think Boston will be better. I mean,
maybe really Brooklyn.
I think Brooklyn. I mean, obviously they're going to be better than the Knicks. Obviously they're going to be better than the Wizards.
Yeah. Two other teams that are kind of a bit less of a question mark, but still going to be probably better than last year was Detroit. Detroit's been making moves for veterans, and Cade was good to finish the year last year. And then also Orlando, who I don't think will win a lot of games, but I think they're going to be better than people expect.
Yeah, I mean, Orlando is. We'll see.
And then you have the other teams like. Honestly, right now, and maybe I'll eat my words, and I kind of hope
Memphis
I do.
Memphis will be better.
Memphis is in the West, though. I know it's weird, but they are.
Yeah. No, they're not.
They are, bro.
You're lying to me.
Bro, they played the Warriors last year, the playoffs.
Holy crap. I've been alive this long.
What was I going to say? Oh, I have them in the tier with like the Hawks and the Wizards and teams that are like, okay, they could make the playoffs. They could honestly, bro, I do hope things work out in Cleveland because I like a lot of these players, but I could see it not working out or taking a little bit of time. And I think that's okay. Like, you don't need to contend right away for Cleveland. Lauri Markkanen is gone. And that was probably the biggest asset that you lost this season outside of picks. So you have time, bro. Everyone's on a long-term contract, I believe, except maybe Rubio, and Kevin Love has maybe one other season.
Yeah,
So
I think he'll retire after that.
I think Kevin Love will stay in Cleveland if they're good long enough for them to contend. But if not, like Kevin Love last year, he rejuvenated his career. He really did. He looked good, especially like coming off the bench. I think he
played
finished
six
top
man for
three.
them.
Yeah, I think he
Yeah,
finished top three, 6 man. So
yeah. I mean, and Tyler Hero won 6 man of the year last year. Um, I don't know. I mean, do you think they'll be better than the Raptors?
no,
I think they'll be better than the Pacers.
yeah.
So let's see. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams that are better than them, maybe 6.
What are the teams?
So
The Bulls,
Boston, the 76ers, Miami, the Bulls, the Raptors,
the
the
Bucks.
Bucks, the Nets,
So
and
playing.
maybe Detroit or
I think they'll still be better than Detroit. Did you say
Charlotte.
Atlanta?
I
I think
didn't.
I think they're right there with Atlanta and Washington. I think that's kind of the
Yeah.
tier. In Chicago.
Yeah. We'll see.
All right. Well, that I guess concludes our 7 NBA teams that are the biggest question marks going into the season. Let us know what you think, and let us know if you like us talking about basketball, because I mean we're gonna do it regardless, but we didn't do it before this, so hopefully you enjoyed it. And if not, send it to some Bulls fans or some basketball fans, and let them know that we do sports talk sometime. Anything that you'd like to add before we say goodbye, Trevor?
Nuggets are gonna win. That's all.
Bulls and 6. All
All
right.
right.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.